Iranians will return to the polls for a runoff presidential vote next week after none of the candidates secured a majority in the first round of the snap election. The vote took place to replace President Ebrahim Raisi, who died in a helicopter crash last month. A reformist, Masoud Pezeshkian, holds a slim lead over conservative Saeed Jalili, with more than 24 million votes counted. But voter turnout reached a record low for the country at only 40%. Power in Iran ultimately resides with Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei, who oversaw the selection of all four candidates in the race. For more, I'm joined now by Yalda Zabakh, the head of DW's Persian service. Good to have you with us, Yalda. Now, the only reformist candidate, Masoud Pezeshkian, is slightly ahead of the hardliner Saeed Jalili. Now, what would it mean if Iran elected a reformist candidate in this runoff?
Well, actually, it won't bring any change, as to say that clear enough. There is no change for the people in Iran, even with the so-called reformist candidate. The only thing that might change is that Pezeshkian's view, he's less anti-Western than, for instance, Jalili. The thing is that many analysts actually say that it can also be a strategy, or maybe even the will of the Supreme Leader, that Pezeshkian has been vetted by the Guardian Council at all, in order to get people to the polls. So it was expected, a low turnout was expected, and they were maybe hoping and trying everything to get people to vote, but and on the other hand, I mean, they failed because, as you just said, it was the lowest turnout in history of the Islamic Republic. And on the other hand, it is also a possible scenario that now, before the elections in the US take place, and as long as Biden is president, for instance, Iran is trying to get maybe a deal to ease, take away the sanctions, for instance. So this is likely that he has been vetted only for that, actually.
And just mentioning that low turnout, a record low, why is it that Iranians haven't turned out to vote?
This is actually not surprising. We have been witnessing, especially since the nationwide protest, the Women Life Freedom movement, which is still ongoing despite all crackdowns, that people are fed up with this regime. It's because of the human rights, no women rights, the economy, and the regime supporting Hamas and Hezbollah. And this is actually very clear that people in Iran, they want a regime change. So for most of the people, these elections are not even elections. They know there's no change coming out of this. And there were trending hashtags the weeks and before the election saying hashtag election circus, or people calling to boycott the elections, like, for instance, Nobel Peace Prize winner Narges Mohammadi, who has called for election boycott. And what we also could see is images and videos that reached us yesterday. The polling stations were, they were empty, actually, in the different cities of the country.
And Yalda, briefly, what has become of the protests we saw? There was a movement over a year and a half ago, the women's movement. What's become of that movement?
This movement actually is still alive. So women are still fighting for their rights, for self-determination, for freedom. But there is this crackdown. And even the regime knows that it's just a matter of time that another wave of protests will evolve. Maybe also this is why they're thinking that with a reformist candidate or president like Pezeshkian this could be delayed. But fact is that the women keep up their fight, but the whole people in Iran. And there is a fear that with the reformist candidate, the EU and the West will start to negotiate with Iran more, and that will actually lead to legitimize this regime, which has no legitimation within the population anymore.
Okay. All right, we'll have to leave it there. Yalda Zabakh, the head of DW's Persian service. Thank you.